Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
Welcome, Scream Kings, Queens, and Things. This is my 56th episode, and my theme of the month is a very corporate Christmas, with movies about the horrors of consumerism. When the system meant to keep shoppers safe turns into the thing that hunts them. In today's movie, we have a campy take on consumerism in excess during the Reagan era, showing how a consumer paradise can turn into a death trap. This isn't just sci-fi. When someone is wrongly identified as an intruder, a threat, or simply not belonging in a space, those mistakes have had deadly consequences. Racial profiling has led to shoppers being followed, harassed, or detained in stores for looking suspicious while doing absolutely nothing wrong. It's the same violent logic. People are treated as expendable, but property is sacred. In October of 2024, a couple with their kids were accused of stealing in a Jacksonville Walmart. The accusation was that Raymond and Nakia Brewster, along with their 3 young daughters, were approached by a security officer while at the customer service desk to exchange children's clothes they had purchased the day prior. The officer accused them of putting something in their bag. So what happened, the incident was the couple immediately tried to show their receipt to prove the items were legitimately purchased, but they were already presumed guilty. Police became involved, leading to a traumatic experience where the family felt they were wrongfully imprisoned and humiliated in public. The outcome of this whole story? The family filed a lawsuit against Walmart, citing racial profiling and demanding policy change to prevent similar incidents in the future. The incident highlighted how assumptions based on race can lead to immediate and baseless accusations of theft. This is real. This is happening. It's an ongoing issue. When minorities feel like they're being targeted or watched in stores, it's not just their imagination. These are real incidents that happen, and they really do get targeted every day. In this movie, mall security turns into a death squad. It's not just 80s cheese, it's a satire of the way American consumer culture teaches us to fear each other more than the system that profits from that fear. The real horror is the idea that protecting capital is worth more than human lives. Today, I'll be covering the movie Chopping Mall 1986, directed by Jim Wynorski, written by Jim Wynorski and Steve Mitchell, starring Kelly Maroney, Tony O'Dell, Russell Todd, and Barbara Crampton. Estimated budget was $800,000. Estimated gross, not so sure. I couldn't find anything on IMDb. The tagline for this movie: where shopping can cost you an arm and a leg. Some quick trivia about this film. When the stunt crew was setting up where Greg is thrown to his death from the 3rd level of the mall, director Jim Wynorski volunteered to try the stunt himself, as long as they set him up from the 2nd level. He completed it successfully, but found out he'd broken a rib in the process. Wynorski did not tell anyone he had gotten hurt, and no one found out about it during the remaining production time. Producer-director James Wan announced in January 2023 he wanted to remake this film. I would be very interested in that, but it would be even weirder to remake this film because malls have never been more dead than they are now. They really are the consumerist coffin that George Romero had predicted so long ago. This was just one of the 5 robot movies released in 1986, all different genres. We had horror, comedy, and children's animation. It was this film, Transformers the movie, Flight of the Navigator, Short Circuit, and Deadly Friend. Dick Miller's characters, named Walter Pasley, was adapted from the 1959 movie Bucket of Blood. He also used this character name in other films, including Shake and Rattle and Rock. Robert Short Productions of Marina del Rey, California, was hired to produce the robot in this film. 5 were built, but only 2 were functional. 1 could move by a wireless remote, and 1 by a wired remote. The other 3 could be manually placed and then moved by pulling on hidden wires. The movie was originally released in March 1986 under the title Killbots. It performed poorly, and producers felt the movie's title turned off audiences, who might think, based on the original movie poster, that it was a Transformers-like children's cartoon instead of a violent exploitation movie. After some time, the movie was released to theaters under the title Chopping Mall, with over 15 minutes cut. The body count is 9. If you're new here, each episode will have an intro, brief synopsis of the movie, and analysis of the film. Spoiler alert, I've made it my job to spoil the shit out of this movie. Let's set the scene with the synopsis of the movie.
As a new security system, completely mobile, user-friendly, and absolutely fail-safe. But something is going wrong.
Park Plaza Mall has just installed a state-of-the-art security system, which includes security shutters across all exits. The 3 high-tech security robots programmed to disable, using tasers and tranquilizer guns, and apprehend would be thieves. 4 couples decide to have a party in one of the furniture stores, where 3 of them work. They all stay after hours at the mall, drinking, partying, and eventually 3 of the couples have sex in the furniture store beds. While the 4th couple, Allison and Ferdy, who were introduced by Greg and Susie, watch old science fiction films on TV. Outside, a lightning storm strikes the mall several times and damages the computer controlling the security robots, which kill their technicians and a janitor. Before going on regular patrol in the now empty mall, 2 of the teens leave the furniture store to buy cigarettes and are subsequently killed by the robots. The surviving teens witness the killbots kill Leslie, and the man and woman are forced to separate, the men into the mall and the women into the air ducts. When the killbots begin their attack, the men break into a sporting goods store to arm themselves with guns, whilst the girls take gas and flames from an automotive store. After Susie has a panic attack and leaves the air ducts to help Greg, with Allison and Linda following her, not wanting to leave her in the mall alone. Utilizing a propane tank, Rick, Greg, and Ferdy blow up and appear to destroy one of the killbots. Rick, Greg, and Ferdy then rig the mall elevator with a booby trap. A second killbot ambushes the women while the men finish rigging the elevator, and Susie's screams alert the men that the women are in trouble. They rush to help, but are too late. Susie is killed as the killbots utilize its laser, setting fire to her gas can and setting her aflame, while Greg watches in horror. He tries unsuccessfully to shoot the killbot before Rick drags him away. The teens, now regrouped, are able to destroy a killbot by luring it into a booby-trapped elevator. They then hide out in the restaurant where Allison works. Greg confronts Allison and Linda about leaving the air ducts, which led to Susie's death. Greg also shows signs of beginning to crack. The girls try to explain, but Greg has difficulty accepting their explanation, going as far to pull his gun on Ferdy when he intercedes on Allison and Linda's behalf. Rick manages to calm him down, and Ferdy suggests destroying the main control center of the killbots, thinking that it will shut them down. Greg and the others support the idea. They begin to make their way to level 3 of the mall where the killbots control their location. Greg continuing to behave recklessly over Susie, and despite the others trying to get him under control, gets too far ahead of them and is killed when one of the remaining killbots ambushes him and throws him over the balcony, where he falls to his death 3 floors down. While on the run, the remaining teens see the killbot that was believed to be destroyed and realize there are still 2 left to deal with. The final 4, Allison, Ferdy, Rick, and Linda, take refuge in a department store as the remaining 2 killbots work to gain access. Hearing one of the killbots gain entrance in the store's lower level, the group sets up store dummies and mirrors in an attempt to confuse the killbot, waiting outside the upper level door. Then open it up. The plan works. When the killbots start firing at the dummies, one of the lasers reflects back off the mirror, hitting the killbot and setting it firing blindly. Linda is killed when one of the lasers hits her, and Rick, in rage, drives a store golf cart into the killbot, firing wildly. He is electrocuted by a bolt of electricity, but his actions finally destroy the second killbot completely. Their death leaves Allison and Ferdy as the only 2 survivors to search for the control center. In the storage areas of the mall, the third and final killbot corners Allison, who is rescued when Ferdy shoots at point blank, damaging its lasers and setting himself up as a target instead. The killbot strikes and appears to kill him as Allison escapes. Allison falls, injuring her leg and setting another trap for the killbot in a paint store. By mixing paint and chemicals from the shelves, she lures the killbot into the store, where it becomes stuck, its tracks unable to find traction on the spilled paint and thinners, and throws the flare into the store, where the volatile chemicals explode, destroying the final killbot. As she leaves the store, she hears Ferdy call her from the upper mall, revealing that he is still alive. The film ends with Allison and Ferdy together, as it's now daytime, showing that Allison and Ferdy survived the night massacre.
Have a nice day!
I am going to be solo. I just did not schedule things well. I apologize to my would-be guest because I have been kind of frozen on some things lately, and I'm trying to thaw myself out. I'm trying to work on all the projects that I have going. I really want to get them done, and it's just like one of those things where I'm probably going through a little bit of a burnout. But here I am. I'm recording, and believe it or not, it's way easier to do this solo. It turns a 1-step process into actually this is already like a 4-step process into like a 8-step process or 10-step process. So yeah, much different, much harder to do, the guest thing. So I am solo today. Let's talk about this film. Let's talk about Chopping Mall. This film has been noted for its satirical take on consumerism and excess during the Reagan era, contrasting the consumer paradise of the mall with the death trap it becomes. So I'm going to start at the beginning. We have our opening demonstration of the killbots. We have Park Plaza Mall unveils its new protectors, high-tech security robots designed to prevent theft. The robots are advertised like a product launch, complete with salesman-style presentation. Their purpose is not to protect people, but to protect the merchandise. The mall treats consumer goods as the real victims of crime. And the spokesperson says that the robot will cut down on shoplifting. The emphasis isn't on safety, it's on persecution, it's on punishment. The entire pitch is about loss prevention, not human well-being. Also, who is shoplifting at night? The robots are not supposed to be out during the day, as far as I understood. That's like a super weird part to it also, and probably just like poor writing. I guess during the day, it's actually the employees' jobs to stop the shoplifters and be the killbots, but at night, the killbots come alive and, so many thefts happen at night. I'm sure that this was an issue, that they had to have these robots. The robots' demonstrations also show that the intruders will be shot with tranquilizers or tasers. The safety measurements for employees working after hours seem like an afterthought, like they don't even address it until someone asks questions about that. All of this is establishing the mall as a worship space. Shots of stores opening, neon lights, people dining, shopping, spending money. The mall, it's basically your modern cathedral, a place of rituals, right? Our shopping ritual, our dating ritual, our eating ritual. The characters treat the mall as a safe haven. Capitalism framed as comfort and community. All early scenes in the movie take place inside consumer spaces. There's restaurants, department stores, and electronic shops. In this space, the mall is the entire world. Then we meet our characters. The employees' after-hours party. We have a group of young workers that stay after closing to drink, hook up, and use the mall as a playground. They use the furniture store like a frat house without walls, hooking up in every part of the store and all way too close for my comfort. They are playing house in the mall, and we all kind of play pretend when we go window shopping, so that kind of makes sense. I like to go to my local mall. There is a really fancy mall near me called Mall Millennia, and it has like all the fancy stores. It's got like there's security in every store almost. I'll just like walk around, and I know like they look at me passing by and they're like, oh, she does not belong in here. She should not be coming into this store. And I don't go into that store, but it's nice to walk by it. I don't actually want any of those items, but it's like playing house. It's like you're playing pretend. You're putting yourself in that situation. You're imagining, oh, what if I bought that? If by happenstance, you move past something, you think about it. What would the reality of me in that space be? And they're doing that in this movie. They are imagining themselves being these adults with this nice furniture and living this independent life. But really, they live at home with their parents and they're just playing pretend. So that storm is brewing and lightning strikes and they have a system failure. When that happens, the lightning storm reboots the robots, causing them to go rogue. This is the moment where technology is meant to protect, but the system malfunctions. It becomes a danger to the consumers themselves. I mean, this is a common theme with technology. There's always a risk of, we have our intention of what we programmed this for, but is that what's really going to happen? I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't happen that way. They protect nothing. They destroy merchandise. This symbolizes the unchecked corporate belief in technology replacing human judgment. The technicians trust the robots with complete autonomy, revealing blind faith in a system built to defend capitalism. The first victims are the overnight employees, which is so fitting because those robots were taking their jobs anyway. The workers who keep the mall functioning are the first to be sacrificed. Labor is disposable. Property is priceless. The robots offer no warnings or attempts to preserve human life. They only follow their protect mall assets programming, which was the first priority, right? Like that was the thing that they focused on in their demonstration, and the human life part was an afterthought. So it kind of makes sense that that was their default programming when lightning struck. The group realizes they're locked inside. The mall goes into an automatic lockdown, trapping the teens. The mall becomes a literal prison. showing how capitalist systems trap people inside the environments meant to serve them. This is probably the most dystopian of the scenes, where like metal doors like clamp down and it almost looks like a spaceship or something. It's very sci-fi looking. I mean, robots are sci-fi, so it makes sense. That part is like terrifying. Like I felt claustrophobic just watching those doors like slam on each other. It was like, oh no. I would have a panic attack even if I was inside an entire mall. Just being imprisoned like that in a space, no thank you. The mall becomes a literal prison, showing how capitalist systems trap people inside the environments meant to serve them, controlled by corporate security tech, not by humans. The steel doors close without regard for anyone left inside, prioritizing the building's security system over every human present. Mike is found dead with his throat slashed by a killbot. He's the first to die after he goes to get cigarettes from the vending machine, which is so of the time. Like cigarettes in a vending machine? That is hilarious. It would never happen today. Not in America. His death shifts the tone from after hours party to holy shit, we're in danger. It's also the whole purity thing. You must die now for your sin. You must die now for your sins. No, that's Jin. You must die now for your sins. Maybe. That's my robot. That's my robot voice. You must die now for your sins. No, I don't know what that is. I'm just trying out things, you guys. Trying out things. Entertaining you. Trying to entertain you. Fleeing through storefronts, the survivors run through sporting goods, restaurants, and clothing stores looking for weapons and shelter. Consumer goods become survival tools. Their lives depend on what the mall can provide, a satirical twist on capitalism's promise that the market can meet every need. They build weapons from store merchandise, rifles from the sporting goods shop, and propane tanks from the hardware store. The killbots display capitalistic logic during their kill spree. They destroy anything they see as a threat, including mannequins and displays, because robots can't decipher between real and imaginary. They just see a shape. They're like, why is it? It looks like the unfriendly shape. Let me kill the unfriendly shape. The robots, they cannot distinguish between property and people, reflecting how capitalist institutions often don't either. Surprise! The robot's laser fire destroys thousands of dollars in inventory, showing that the programming designed to protect capital ends up destroying it. Another surprise to no one, hopefully. Leslie has her head exploded by a laser blast. Such a good kill. Most iconic. When she is running into the hallway screaming over Mike's death, this makes her an easy target, and the bots shoot her repeatedly until her head pops like a watermelon. This was the most sinful of the couples, and they are killed right away. They were definitely the most, they were the first ones naked, they were the first ones going at it, yeah. So when you're the first ones to sin, you're the first ones to die. You must die for your sins. The men are trying to be the heroes, and they're like, women, go into the air ducts and escape. Go be free. Do not fear, we will protect you. So the girls climb into the ventilation system to escape. Interestingly, this kind of shows the men going out and just being men in a store. Just existing in that space at that time made them a threat. And then the robots are free to roam without a worry about being harmed because they are the harm. Much like white people acting like minorities are the threat, when really their racial profiling is the threat to society. They say that they're protecting, but the only thing they're protecting is a system that villainizes and profiles minorities, and also continues a system of poverty. The only way to survive is to remove yourself. There's no reasoning with it in that space. Susie, played by Barbara Crampton, gets a panic attack and decides she can't let her. Okay, I'm going to be mean here. I'm going to go into his looks because Barbara Crampton is beautiful and her boyfriend in this is so just like, he is so weird looking. He is a weird looking dude. I do not like him. But she decides she can't let him die. At this point in the movie, I'm like, you dumb bitch. You are going to kill your friends because you want to protect this weird ass looking man. So once they're out of those air ducts and we get our full on war zone, the characters blow up parts of the mall to destroy the robots, and the robots destroy merchandise and everything in between to kill the kids. The climax involves setting stores on fire, blowing up robot patrols, and destroying corporate property, all portrayed as necessary acts of resistance. Linda is awesome and starts making explosive devices using a propane tank to destroy the first robot. I was like, yes, girl, I want you on my team. Susie's burned alive, which is pretty ironic due to the fact that she felt so hot in the air duct. She was like having a panic attack and she's like, I can't breathe. It's really hot. And then like she's literally set on fire. So foreshadowing much? Maybe. I think so. The robot shoots the gasoline can. Like she dies because she's holding a gasoline can and the robot shoots it, causing her to catch fire. And then she burns to death while her boyfriend, unattractive Greg, watches helplessly. Grief-stricken over Susie, Greg loses focus and is grabbed by a killbot. It hurls him over the railing and he lands with a brutal crunch. Now our second couple, which they were the second ones to also get naked and start having sex. Why am I so weird about that word? I am very weird about that word. So that makes our second horniest couple is now dead. Which makes sense. Then Rick dies in a car explosion. Rick tries to ram a robot in the mall cart. The bot fires a shot, causing it to explode. He dies in a classic macho 80s character style. And then Linda earned a respectful death, being shot by a killbot. She tries to help Ferdy and Allison, but a robot hits her with a laser blast that kills her instantly. I was like, the most sinful had the most gruesome death, and then as it goes on, the least luscious couples start to die a little bit more respectfully. There's a whole hierarchy of deaths here going on, and I think this is probably the clearest example I've ever seen of it in a movie. Her death raises the stakes for the final confrontation. Now only the innocent couple that were on their first date are left to fight for their lives. Ferdy, not actually dead, is rammed by the killbot and cracks his head on the floor. We assume he's dead. They could have all probably hid in like lockers or something and never been detected and survived till the morning. But that wouldn't make a good movie, so we get a bunch of horny teenagers dying for their sins. Allison thinks that Ferdy's dead, and now Allison is pissed. She goes full Rambo. Like, this chick is so awesome. She hasn't had a date in ages. She was really starting to like this guy before the killbots massacred him. And her friends. Those were her friends, okay? Allison survives because she does something the others don't. She stops running and starts strategizing. She sets traps and uses the mall's consumer goods as weapons, paint thinner, flares, elevators, and glass displays. This chick knows strategy, okay? I want her on my D&D team. She uses the mall's layout to her advantage. Unlike the others, she doesn't confront robots head-on unless absolutely necessary. She evades, outthinks, and outmaneuvers. She blows up the final killbot in the climax. She uses store chemicals to create an explosion that destroys the last robot. And as I'm like watching this, I'm like, somehow not a single fire alarm or sprinkler goes off. And that's why we have the safety codes we have today, because this kind of stuff. In her final act of defiance, she yells, "Have a nice day." She yells, "Have a nice day." No. In her last badass savior move. And then Ferdy reappears, alive. He limps into her view after she wins. Bloody but breathing. Allison survives, saves the day, and gets the boy. Classic 80s final girl structure. I love how this movie is also, it ends with the robot saying, "Have a nice day," speaking in its cheerful, automated corporate greeting, because we get this kind of thing wrapped up in a nice smile. "We're protecting you." What do you mean there's danger? There's no danger. The mall tries to maintain its brand-friendly, consumer-facing facade despite the chaos. The line is delivered sarcastically after mass destruction, highlighting how capitalism hides violence behind cheeriness. Don't be fooled, you guys. Don't be fooled. Just because it's friend-shaped does not mean it's a friend. Because I don't have a guest this week, I had a really fun game that I made for this movie, and it's called Mall Store Battle, and I'm actually going to make a reel on this and put it on all the social medias. So go over onto my social media and interact with that post, because it's going to be a really fun one. You don't want to miss it. Let's end on a high note. There is a new teaser trailer for Disclosure Day. This is a Steven Spielberg original sci-fi movie. There is a part in that like the sounds and like the visuals really remind you of The Signs. So I'm interested in how that's going to be connected, if at all. The season finale of It, Welcome to Derry was probably the best ending to a season I have ever seen. It was amazing. It made me cry again. And there's so much to unpack with that show, with the character Rich, and then Marge, what they reveal. I mean, you just have to go. If you have not watched that season yet, you need to go watch it, because they've already announced that they have like 2 other seasons that are going to come out. They've been confirmed. And it seems like they're going even further back in time from what I saw, which would be super cool, because just the lore of It, the Eater of Worlds, is really fascinating. It's a really interesting character, and I think we have not given It the love that this clown deserves. And I'm excited to see what they do with him and how they elaborate on him and how we kind of take him on a little bit more as this iconic killer. There's a lot of talk about, we're at the end of the year. What were the best horror movies of 2025? And, Sinners didn't make the list, and a lot of people are really confused about it. I'm confused about it. I thought it was an amazing movie. It was so deep. There were so many layers of history and systemic abuse, and just the visuals, the writing, it was a powerful film. At best, it's an oversight. At worst, they're trying to mask the quiet part, and we're seeing the quiet part in real time, but only those that want to see it are going to see it. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, then you are not where I am. We are not eye to eye. People are also coming up with lists of like movies that they're looking forward to that are going to be released in 2026. And it looks like horror is going to continue being a genre that evolves and brings in and ties in more themes. And it's, I think people are really going to find themselves more connected to this genre than ever before, and kind of expand the definition of horror, because a lot of times we want to, say slashers are horror. There's not enough. This isn't horror. There's not enough blood. There's not enough guts. Horror is not always blood and guts, you guys. It's not. That's one type of horror. But horror is a vast catalog of films. And we've got supernatural horror, and horror doesn't have to be outwardly scary. Sometimes horror is what gives you anxiety, what gives you that existential dread. That is also horror. The fears that the basic person has to live with in and out of every single day. Those mundane thoughts that are in the back of your head when a woman has to grab her keys for safety, or a Black man has to smile more than anyone else and make eye contact, make himself take his hood down, do all these, these things to seem less threatening. Those are also horror. Thrillers are horror movies. They fall into that umbrella. So I am excited to see how we evolve our understanding of the genre. Starting in January, I'm going to have 2 episodes where I analyze a movie and 2 episodes where I have indie horror highlights and I interview a film director. That's going to be starting next month. I do have another episode that's going to come out next week. I'm going to record that very soon. If you are an indie horror director and you would like me to feature your movie, all you have to do is email me at screamqueenpodcaster@gmail.com. I will watch your movie. I will come up with interview questions, and I like to deep dive films. This is a weekly podcast with new episodes out every Friday. All the research, writing, and audio is done by yours truly. This is a one-woman show, and I am doing my very best. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. It really means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcaster, Blue Sky at Scream Queen Podcast, TikTok at Scream Queen Podcast, and there's a link tree that will take you to my YouTube and Facebook page as well. Remember, just because it has a smile and it's saying friendly words doesn't mean it's friendly. Be careful out there, you guys. Don't let the grifters get you. Until next time, goodbye.
Hehehehe